All right. I think we should have everybody here. Just want to make sure. Let's check here. All right. How's everybody doing today? Just want to check in, make sure everybody's here. Everything's working right. All right, good to go. All right, so I just want to talk to you guys today. Good morning, good evening, good night, everyone. And thank you for everybody, that's been participating and really, putting all this hard work in. It's never easy. It's never easy, man. I couldn't tell you how many hours I heard from a couple people that were mentioning that, where's the work-life balance? Or the balance between, cryptocurrency and that universe and, your mental health care, or, your family or your relationships. Um, Early on in my life, I actually got a degree in psychology and didn't help me. Don't worry. But I have found that trying to get off of cryptocurrency when you're on the markets 24/7, it's hard. Very hard to do. But for me, um, I try to. So there's like certain limits. So like me and my wife, at night, she tells me, I need to put the phone down sometimes or not be on the computer. But trying to find that work-life balance definitely is hard, guys. I know a couple people reached out, were asking me that. Definitely put some self-care in, gym, nutrition. Probably get some blue blocker glasses too, man. Looking at the screen kills you. But thank you for everybody that's joining me here today. I told you guys we'd be talking about meme coins, looking at the deck screener, also kind of going over we have a Fed meeting today. That's not going to be my main topic today. Obviously, it's a big topic. I know there's a few other people that's covering it in live time, I believe, in the group. I am going to touch on that today. But recently, our group has been pretty successful. Now, it's hard for me to gauge how many people, but just from interactions, engagements, I've seen a lot of people take the swing trades on, and do very well with the few that we've started with so far. And today I'm going to be talking about the cycle that we're currently in. So today, hopefully, with the Fed meeting, I do not expect a rate cut. I don't think any of the markets expecting a Fed rate cut today. If we got one, I think somebody would definitely be rich on Poly Market, or betting that, because it's a very low chance. I have some notes I put in here that I wanted to talk to you guys about. Um, so a few things that I wanted to discuss about the upcoming meeting. So if Jerome Powell comes out and for say Dover stance, right? If he, let's see here. I want to touch on my specifics. Um, Notes. Okay, so if Jerome Powell would mention that his views are in line with previous, economic projections, or summary of or SEP summary of economic projections, this would actually be bullish for the market. Whereas previously mentioned in March before Liberation Day, if he says that his views are in line with previous economic projections, this would likely be bullish for the markets. He's mentioned previously tariffs were larger than expected, right? We did hear him come out and talk about that. The new summary of economic projections are will be in June. Okay, so I expect that he acknowledges near-term inflation to have gone up, but long-term inflation, his famous words, be anchored. There's been a low chance of rate cuts, as you guys know, across the board. There's, it varies a little bit, but roughly a 25 percent cut in June, 65% chance for July. And what we're looking for in July is possibly the unemployment data could roll over. Right, this could be bad. So the one thing is we have a Fed and we want that Fed to do something, right? At the same time, we don't, people in, July, right, the hedge funds, big guys, a lot of money, they're going to be wanting to say, hey, it's time to cut rates. Where the Fed may say, hey, we want 3 months of inflation data, right? And they're not going to get that until August, okay? They're not going to get that 3 months of inflation data in July until August. And so the next meeting would not be until September, which there's a little bit of uncertainty. A lot of people are expecting the Fed to kind of come out, cut rates hard at that point. But then again, like I said, jobs data, August 12th inflation data comes out, and I believe, it's going to be a little bit of a bumpy ride. Today, a dovish stance from Powell could definitely be something where, he signals more accommodated monetary policy, prioritizing economic growth. Obviously, we're probably going to hear from him about higher interest rates right now, like I said, and hopefully hear that he says his projections are anchored over time. This would generally be bullish. We do have some few things to go over here. So I will get into, I'm going to write a whole report for you guys about the meeting today. A lot of people are, just kind of going for a lot of nothing is going to happen today, but there's going to be, some instances where, we're going to kind of try to pick up on the language, what he's doing, what he's saying is what stance is he taking. But all instances right now are pointing towards that we're not going to get those rate cuts till later. I know when I previously talked to the group, I mean, it's been months ago, I talked about, my June, July thesis, and that was months ago, due to all the uncertainty in the market. And definitely so. There's been a lot of uncertainty in the markets, but no matter what, we can always do something, right? And today I wanted to focus on taking profits in turbulent times, and also about kind of looking at Deck Screener. Some people were asking me about Deck Screener. This is a great opportunity. I mean, really, I'm not big on, you guys know me, I'm very utility driven. I like a lot of utility coins. But let's be honest, right? When we look at the 30% up in the day as of currently, it has not been our utility cryptocurrencies. There's even been some views from people that are like, make crypto great again, right? Like not the, Trump saying, but really like make crypto great again, where people were so bullish on projects, not meme coins, right? It's the whole culture over the years for me has shifted so much. Don't get me wrong, when Shiba Inu came out, but it wasn't like saturated as the market is today, with meme coins, and some of our utility coins are just getting beaten down. And for instance, let's just talk about Celestia. I don't personally hold Celestia. I have. It's been one that I've used for, trading. I just want to say, for those that may have gotten to the market later, maybe you've been in the market, Celestia was a top cryptocurrency, top volume cryptocurrency. it was a $20 cryptocurrency. I mean, it when Render was in the $10, $12 range, Celestia was $20. And that puts into perspective, right? I mean, Render's obviously held up better in the $4 range than we look at Celestia, right? And part of that, I believe, may have to do with the vesting and the unlocks. But it just goes to show you we have a $20 cryptocurrency that's down at $2.30, right? But for those that did the swing trades with me, right, we went into Titcoin, right? We did a swing trade on Titcoin, and in 2 days we were already 30% up. And there's going to be some more opportunities like that where you see people, instead of going into the utility projects while the market's kind of up and down, they take some for me, I like to take some calculated risks. Not throwing my money out there. I don't like to lose money. I know there's a lot of people that it's like just meme coins, right? There's even been creators that are solely meme coins, and that's okay. That's their approach. I find it to be too risky. I'd rather stick with Bitcoin. But at the same time, that's their take, and that's how you view your portfolio. For me, I like to have my portfolio anchored in Bitcoin. Obviously, I got my Solana. I don't really talk too much about Sol. I definitely think it's became huge. I mean, as far as meme coin trading, volume, even stable coin volume, I mean, I feel like it's obvious. It's here to stay. And I keep my Sol, usually keep it staked, and I keep some to trade. I'm waiting on talking to a few people about discussing how to actually use some of the trading bots on Deck Screener. Now, I'm not for those that have never used it. It's very simple, and I'm not going to go too much into the Trojan trading bot, but it's just on Telegram, and you literally just download Trojan on Solana. And you're able to go in there and don't do this on yourself. I'm gonna be talking to the group and discussing this more. And also, you don't actually have to use the trading bot, but I'll just give a few examples for meme coins where it can come in handy. So on Solana, you can go here on Deck Screener, right? So when you're looking at Deck Screener, you can see here, all the popular crypto or meme coins of the day. We've got Gork up here. We all heard that did a crazy run. There's Titcoin at number 19. You can check the market cap. And one thing, here's one that I wanted to show you guys. It may have fell down the ranks a little bit. Cerebro kind of still there. Yeah, his founder went through a lot. This was just in the top 10 yesterday. So this is one that's just very interesting to me. No. Let's see. Go to. Okay, so this is one that's been very interesting to me. And I'll tell you kind of some things I look for. Okay, so right here, it's kind of seen, increased sell volume, as you can tell, recently. Coming up to recent, when you looked over here, and you can look and see your buy and sell volume, the buy volume was almost at, over here. It was 100,000, 200,000 more than the actual sell volume, meaning people were actually, holding on to this project. This project here is very interesting. On Twitter, they already have 40,000 followers. Now, you call it ads, Twitter. They have 40,000 followers and are doing some things actually in the AI space. They've hinted towards some things with Binance that's unconfirmed. But they have 40,000 followers, and it's right here at $11 million market cap, and it's a penny, right? And so sometimes I look for projects like this, where there's upside potential on some of these rallies, right? Like I know some people may look at this and say, do I want to keep stacking my utility coins? Yes, like absolutely. I put in DC orders for the group. I'm still super bullish on Aerodrome, bullish on Caspa. I'm going to talk about Cas in a minute. Bullish on Axelar. There is some things that some of these cryptocurrencies, though, it's part of the cryptocurrencies is hype, right? And hype can be created, right? Like you get a couple day pump of 30%, people start paying attention, right? And then there goes that FOMO buying. Yeah, Bodify's going up. We got a nice green candle on the screen as we're talking here. Bodify is definitely a project that I've been looking at for its potential. Like it's at the 1 penny range, right? And so say I take a half of Solana, right? And throw that in there, right? And I get, it's 2-4 cents. I just, did it 2 or 4x. Maybe you take a SOL. It just depends on, kind of your price outlook. But this is Dex Screener for those that did not know. Dex Screener, and I know probably a lot of people may know this. But you're able to come on here, right? And come on here, tag this button right here, bam, tag that. I already got the CA right there. And now I can, instead of using like a DEX to actually purchase this, if you were to use the Trojan Solana bot, which I choose to use, you don't have to. You can use a multiple various DEXs to come on here and trade. But the Solana Trojan bot is very simple. So the thing about trading meme coins is nowadays you have a lot of people that, especially on the Solana blockchain and even on the ETH and XRP Ledger, are using bots. And the thing with that is on, like with Trojan on the Solana bot, is you're able to use better MEV protection, set your slippage, right? Like, so say if the price is violently going up and down, you can set your slippage. I usually recommend a 15% slippage. It allows easy buying and selling, but doesn't put you at too much of a risk, and your risk tolerance can, be different. But it executes faster than you can humanly execute. And maybe for those that have ever been on Pump Fund, have realized like, man, I clicked buy on that and the price just went up, twofold. Because I've had people tell me like, and I'm like, yeah, you know why? It's because people are using bots to buy and sell and trade. And this was an interesting take that I wanted to talk to you guys. And you know how everybody screams, the market's manipulated, the market's manipulated. The market is manipulated, guys. We're in the age of AI. And that says it alone. I'm not screaming the market's manipulated, and the reason for that is, everybody's a bad player. Well, people want to make money just like me and you. And so we have to, be ahead of the game. We have to look for new opportunities, right? Like I love Axelar to death, but like, am I just gonna, buy it when it's not time to buy, and keep throwing my money in, right? And I feel accumulate a lot, let's say, right? But I want to make money, right? You're in this to make money and take profits. And on the Discord, our great Discord, I'm going to be always posting our sell alert. So like, I'm not saying you sell, but when I sell, I'm going to put it on there like, hey, I sold. It's up to you if you want to hold, you want to sell, but I'm going to be posting all of my sells. There was a great guy, and he's been in finance longer than me. He was talking about right now with the market. Some people want to say, hey, these are bear market rallies, and there's many rallies within a bear market. I still argue that we're in a larger uptrend. There's still a lot to be said with that. He recommended putting on like a 10% trailing stop, or you can put a stop loss limit. And that's if, I found it very hard early on to take profits, even with Bitcoin. In the beginning, when I first started out, I did not want to take profits at all. Um, and so let me just check here, just see if anybody's talking in here. Let's see. Okay. Checking out. Yeah. Okay. So I found it very hard to take profits in the beginning. And so I think it's very important to set a plan and a goal out for yourself, right? Be able to get used to selling things. And so, and for me, everybody's, uh, position's different. Say you're like just an extreme great leverage trader and you have a nice stack of money and you want to play with a little bit more money. Maybe your risk tolerance may be higher than somebody else's. But maybe take a position in something that you're willing to say, hey, if this goes up 30%, I'm willing to take profits on that. And so I've been posting more of these for the group. Like I said, we did a nice swing trade on Titcoin that went up 30%. I'm going to be scanning deck screener for us, for those in the group. And those are just a few things. But you can go on here and you can look and see, what's going on at any time of day. Which cryptocurrency has the most volume? Which one's the most popular? Um, and so you can kind of come on here and look and see what's going on. And some of these have insane price increases. I mean, sometimes you look at this, and I mean, some of these have like 1,000% in 24 hours, right? You don't want to get addicted to deck screener, but it's just something I'm keeping all angles open for the group here, and I am looking at everything for us. So that's just something I wanted to talk about with deck screener. And also, I wanted to come over here to CryptoRank.io. This is one of my biggest as far as what I use for gauging my cryptocurrencies. This is it. And so I wanted to talk today about CryptoRank.io. That's fine. Let's just set this for now. And so, I always use a VPN. It's always up to you. But I always use a VPN. CryptoRank.io. Let's just go to a few people's favorite cryptocurrencies here. So today we're going to talk about SUI, and we're going to get into CAS 2 here. And so we go to SUI, and let's look at SUI. So this is something I want to look at. This is one of the first things I look at. Now, this is not necessarily in order, but if you come here, you can look at this. So let's go here. Let's see who invested in SUI. Okay, so right here, boom, big name, Circle, boom, Coinbase Ventures, right? Coinbase Ventures invested in Axelar. They invest in some of the best projects out there, not just Axelar, but a lot of projects. Jane and Jump Street, right here, boom, huge name. Electric Capital, you see these guys a lot. And you see FTX Ventures. They have a lot of investors, right? So you come here, and then another thing I like to look at is the vesting. And you can do this for meme coins. You can do this for everything that you like to. And so this is something interesting about SUI. So if you look, guys, right here, 33.4% of SUI is circulating. Like, let that sink in. SUI, I love SUI. I bought into SUI. I made good profits with SUI. I sold SUI. It has outperformed a lot of the market. It is absolutely ripped. Every time we get a leg up, SUI gets a leg up, it seems, no matter if it's got an unlock or not. SUI has definitely just been a performer. And so you can kind of look here, and it shows you the percentages of, stakes, how much went to Series A investors, Series B investors, how much went to early contributors. Sometimes they have community programs, how much went to the community, Miston Labs Treasury, Community Access Program. And so it shows you right here where and how much, this unlock is. So this is a linear unlock over 7 years. We have another 7 years. Right here we have, looks like, let's see here, 1 year. And so you can kind of go here, but then I like to go down here, right? Because you're looking at this and you're like, well, what does that exactly mean? Okay, I see it's, we got a linear unlock, cliff unlock, but for right now, all these are linear, but cliff 1 year. And so if you go down here, it makes it a lot simpler. So if you look, it says, okay, so we have an unlock of 58.35 million, or less than 1% of the max supply, so 196.29 million. So 1.75% of the market cap to be unlocked. Let's see when. June 1st. Okay, so we know that there's going to be this much more SUI, 58.58% of the max supply that's going to be released. And where's it going to go to? Community reserves, they're going to pay out stakers, Series B investors, early contributors, and Miston Labs Treasury. Okay, and so you can go down and kind of see where their unlocks are going to. I just use this as an example. So these are all, it tells you specifically, and so you can look here, like the same amount, so 0.56, close enough, but you can go on and see the vesting schedule. One other thing I like to look at is, let's see here, fundraising. Okay, so when we look at fundraising, this is what gets me, guys, and I tell you guys this, it's crazy, right? Okay, so when you look at fundraising, this is what I tell you guys, this is what I look at in cryptocurrencies. I'm using SUI as an example. SUI has, Lofi, shout out to Connor Kenny right now. Great call on Lofi. That's also a meme coin that I really have some, has a community, hasn't rugged, can't guarantee that it will, nothing will, can never guarantee that anything won't rug, but has not rugged, has had a great community. I feel like it's that mascot of the SUI blockchain. When you look here, this is what's insane, guys, and I want you guys to kind of get an understanding of this. So when the team has unlocks, right, to the Series A, Series B investors, right, we're looking at, okay, what are they getting in return, right? Is it good for them to sell now? Are they even getting a return? Oh, wow. So the IEO, they paid 3 cents. They're up 178x right now. Bybit, let's just talk about the platform. They're up 178x, okay? And so they're talking about the different time periods for their IEO. They're up 53.45x. Look at this, another 53.45x. They're up 178x. And this is different, how much money that was raised, right? So they raised 50K. I mean, shoot, I would have loved to have been a part of that one, man. 50K, shoot, 50K, and then an easy 53.45x on that 50K. Okay, so here you go. It looks like this one's going to be undisclosed, possibly. Yeah. And so it doesn't say here, but as you see, Series B, and it's got your big boys, your Circle, Coinbase Ventures, believe Jump Street's in here. And so it just goes to show you, you can find out a lot. You can even find your current news about the blockchain, anything that's relevant. So latest news on SUI, different charting, some things that people have done. And this is also something interesting. You can kind of go over here and kind of see what has been in the spotlight. What are people searching the most? And so SUI usually stays in there. This has been one that the community has mentioned, and I'll go into that just for a moment, and I'm not going to spend too much time here. But INT, I believe, is the ticker, INIT. And there's a few coaches that kind of chimed in here. And so here's a red flag for me, right? We're already into the cycle, right? And so we only got data back here. It just came out, right? And boom, guy candle. And it's look at the circulating supply. It's only got 148 million out of a 1 billion supply circulating. Look how low that circulating supply is. That's why I love this site. So you're going to look at that and be like, hold on a minute. Like, I'm not going to get caught in this one. This one's going to be, this is, for instance, when you look at like Art Block, shout out to Art Block. It's a good project from looking at it, from kind of seeing what they're doing. Robert Mao, great guy. I'm not an investor of Art Block, but with the low circulating supplies, you have to be very, very careful. And so let's go into this and just look at the vesting schedule real quick. And I'm using this as a tool, so hopefully you guys can see this. And use this for you guys, and also use it for every cryptocurrency you look at. And I'm not going to spend too long, but as you see, guys, here's the vesting schedule, and you can see right here. So how much is going to be unlocked? So you got 88 million unlocked coming on May 24th, June 24th. July 24th. So it looks like every month they're unlocking 90 million, 91 million, 90 million, 88 million. And so you got to be careful of that. And just kind of look at like the vesting schedules, fundraising. And I like to go over to fundraising also. So look at this, guys. They're up about 3x. Okay, so that's not extreme, right? You can see they definitely had a decent round of investing. 14 million, 7.5, 1 million, definitely a good investment, a good investment into the cryptocurrency. And so let's go to Axelar. Okay, I love that Axelar is falling down this list, and I know you guys are like, well, why? Well, I feel like it's at a cheaper price. So let's look at this. Okay, look at the funds and backers of Axelar. I just love this. When I look at like who I want to invest in a project, this is a beaming light of who I want to be invested in the project. And yes, VCs are a cutting edge sword, right? Like, I love Bitcoin. There's no VCs, but there's companies out there. Michael Saylor just mentioned this earlier, and I'll tie this into Axelar. Michael Saylor mentioned this earlier. He says, I don't know how, and I forget the exact number. He says, I purchased a massive amount of Bitcoin. And he was like, there was no way, the price couldn't go up. And he was like, for every, whether it be 30,000 or 10,000 or 5,000 or whatever number, if he bought 1,000, bought 500, no matter how many Bitcoin he bought, if he bought, 500 Bitcoin, let's say, it doesn't matter if he bought that or thousands. He says for each time that he would buy, there would be a sell wall put up that somebody was artificially immediately selling as he was buying. So, and that goes to show you the power of AI. There was actually a story that goes back many years about how there's a lot of these huge hedge funds have some of the best trading tech, and they use artificial intelligence. And he was just talking about the price suppression. He was talking about no matter how much he bought, there was AIs in there, and that's kind of like how the Trojan bots work with meme coins. It's like you sit there and you're like, how did the price just dun, 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 dun? And you have people that are sitting there using bots, using trading bots, a lot of times with these meme coins. But with Bitcoin, they have these, hedge funds have these, AI tools now where they can artificially trade these, at faster speeds than humans can click buttons. But back to Axelar here, it's really taken a beating. That's for sure. But look at the investors. So now they have 100 million raised. This is the one in VC that when it's tied to a project, I really like it tied to a project. As you see, these guys are right here, big. You saw them on SUI, I think are on INIT. You got Dragonfly Capital, huge, Polychain Capital, Coinbase Ventures, Electric Capital. You see these guys on all the good projects. Doesn't guarantee any price return, but these are your big guys, right? And they actually have more than that. Arrington, XRP. So look at that. So you have, yep, Arrington, XRP. Got an investment in that. You can look at your tags here as well. And this is what I like to see here. So Axelar has a 1.2 billion supply roughly. And out of that, almost all tokens are in circulation, 943.7 million. And so even on their next unlock, there's 441,000 coming out in circulation. And not to downplay that, but let's look here. Look at the IEO. They are down, right? Now, for the startup, they're only up a 2.64x. And I can tell you, CB investors paid 50 cents a share here for Axelar. Okay, so that's enough about that for now. But this is a great tool for those just kind of looking at that. Also, obviously, you can go on here and track your meme coins, right? So if you go on here, you can look at tick coins. So go in the ranks, obviously pulled back a little bit from its nice run up yesterday, still up 27%, right? Now, your meme coins, obviously, you're not going to have as much people that are going to be your investors, right? Like these are a lot of times, just people that make their own meme coin on the internet. Sometimes, key opinion leaders, various people. So they're not going to have a lot of fundraising. But you look here, and this is what you like to see. So there you go. So there's almost 1 billion tokens, and almost all of them are in circulation. 96.5% of the max supply is at least tracked and in circulation. On another video, I'm going to go into wallet hunting and kind of, being careful because you need to watch out for various projects that have too much bundled up in one place, right? There's wallet bundling and meme coins too that can happen where a team gets together and they hold a large portion of the tokens. That's what can happen on rug pools. They all dump. But we're not going to get into that today. I told you guys we talk about some meme coins. I wanted to go back over CryptoRank.io. It's absolutely great to kind of look at that, guys. And so I just wanted to end this stream today talking about a few things. So Trump wants rate cuts, right? This from Bears, and it says Trump wants rate cuts. President Donald Trump said as recently as Sunday that he wants rate cuts. Now China is acting. The People's Bank of China lowered interest rates and eased rules on bank lending on Wednesday, right? So we're hearing this across everywhere. We're hearing that everyone else is acting, and Donald Trump always uses the word late pal, right? A lot of people say that. You can have your views on Powell. A lot of people like the fact that Jerome Powell acts independently because they feel like say for instance with China, if Xi Jinping says I want the rates lowered, they're going to be lowered, right? In all reality, Trump can't do that. A president can't do that. The Fed is independent from the president, and so that's what also gives credence to the dollar as the reserve currency, because people do see that there is an independent agency, that a president can't just do what they want, right? But at the same time, that can be a cutting-edge sword, especially with Donald Trump having these back and forth with Jerome Powell. But I do think at the end of the day, Jerome Powell is going to act at the best interest of America at the end of the day. So we have here the People's Bank of China lowered interest rates and eased rules on bank lending on Wednesday. stepping in to lessen some of the pain from the trade war between the world's two biggest economies. So you have China already, boom, off the bat. I mean, they've suffered a great deal of mortgage crisis. The ghost cities, they had a problem of over expanding too fast. So for those that aren't, kind of cued into what's going on with China over the years, is they've had a huge issue with housing. China has absolutely, they overexpanded too quick, which left a lot of huge condominiums, skyscrapers, huge projects that were just left. Companies went bankrupt, they stopped building. There was millions of people, and I would have to look at the people, but some articles say millions of people were affected, and there was a large portion of people that were even left stuck footing a bill that say you bought this apartment. They said, in a lot of countries, like here in Brazil, you can live anywhere in Brazil, and to get a house though is sometimes not in the most desirable area, like Barra de Tijuca. You can get a house, and it's but it's away from everything. It's not in the city. It's really far out there. The same thing in China. To live in the city, they kind of sell you like an apartment, and it's your house, it's your apartment, but it's in a larger apartment building. And so they had a lot of these abandoned, and so they've had their own crises going on top of this trade war. They've already started to step in, helping with monetary policy. Trump has repeatedly called on the Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell to lower U.S. Borrowing costs. Nevertheless, traders are pricing in a 97% chance that the Fed rates remain unchanged today, according to the CME Fed Watch tool. A big reason for Powell's reluctance is that wide-ranging tariffs threaten to boost inflation. If they take effect on July 8th, as currently planned, China has few worries about consumer prices. The bigger issue is bolstering consumer confidence to keep the economy growing. Still, Trump would probably benefit from a rate cut because it would bolster the economy. They'll probably have to wait a while longer. And so I got into this kind of with you guys. So, I talked about, Jerome Powell. If he comes out today, talks about the SEP, or the Summary of Economic Projections, and he basically says, in the near term, we expect inflation to come in maybe a little bit, higher, but in the long term, our views are more anchored. We're looking for certain, keywords there to see kind of where he's at with that. And I did pull up some stuff for those that may not know, and there's probably a lot of people that in our group know, but maybe some people watching. So like a dovish stance, for instance, this is just for instance. So say Jerome Powell comes out and during his press conference today, let's just say, would signal a more accommodative monetary policy, focuses on growth trajectory, lower interest rates over the immediate inflation concerns. This would just be an example. This would generally be bullish for risk on markets, cryptocurrencies. And so we're going to go into that today. I know there's a few people covering it. I'm going to be covering it later and kind of seeing where that stands. But I was talking about this earlier, is that we don't want a Fed that does nothing for the economy, because our economy in the United States, I am from the USA, from the U.S. economy, and the stock market has taken a beating at this point. There has not been any full pivot to quantitative easing. Some people ask me, I wanted to talk, I talked about altcoins today, and I'm going to be talking to you guys about this, is that quantitative easing is in the reduction of the federal balance sheet is one of the key factors leading to altcoin season, right? And so, in prior cycles, you would see an exodus of capital, right? you would see selling of Bitcoin and the rotation of capital, right? Into usually like ETH, large caps, and then you would go down the ladder like mid caps, low caps, and niches throughout that cycle, whether it was gaming, whether it was sci, various little niches like, privacy, interop, just various different niches within the blockchain space. Recently, where Bitcoin's been seen as this, hedge against inflation, we've seen mixed results as some people say, oh, this is going to be, reserve currency, and we've had some people like throw that idea away. And so it's been viewed as more of like a keep, hold, and put away, right? And that's kind of my view. I hold all my Bitcoin. One thing I wanted to go on is, let's see here. Okay, so this is on Congress.gov. So you can kind of get a view of this. I'm not going to go too much into this today. I'm not going to bore you guys with reading too much, but most assets on the Fed's balance sheet are financial securities. The Fed is permitted by law to buy or sell a narrow range of securities and must do so on the open market. In practice, it purchases mainly Treasury securities and mortgage-backed securities that are guaranteed by a federal agency or a government-sponsored enterprise. The open market requirement means that the Fed cannot purchase Treasury securities directly from the U.S. Treasury. Instead, transacting with primary dealers, a set of large broker-dealers active in Treasury markets. When the Fed purchases securities from primary dealers, it increases bank reserves. Further discussed below. For those that want to look into this further, you have here Congress.gov, the Fed's balance sheet and quantitative tightening. You can look into that as a resource. And so I'm just going to end today looking at coin market cap. And I did say I would talk about Casper before we leave. So here I have queued up meme coins. And so I'm just going to give an idea for you guys of kind of like what I look for in a meme coin. So if I go all the way up here, I'm going to get the high caps, right? Like Doge, Shiba, Pepe. And so I'm going to look here and I'm going to be like, well, it's going to take a lot more money to move this price, right? Like to move this more than 17 cents, it's going to take some good money, right? It's got a large market cap. So I'm going to go down and I'm going to look. I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to get to these lower market cap cryptocurrencies, but I'm going to look over here and I'm going to look at their volume. And so let's see here. Okay, let's see. Doesn't want to be. Yeah, so you're going to go over here and look at their volume. So I'm going to scroll down. And so like this one's been popping back up. We've all heard of Brett before. A lot of people have been talking about that. And so I'm going to go and I'm going to look and I'm going to come down here and say, okay, which cryptocurrency has a low market cap, right? A lower market cap. I may even scroll down a little bit lower here. I'm going to look and I'm going to try to start around, and the lower you go, the more risky it is, first of all, but I don't want to go too low. But if I go here, let's go to page 2. And this is what I'm looking for. And I'm going to look at here and I'm going to look, and when I look here, I'm going to say, okay, let's see if this one's a good one. So when we look, volume, okay, which meme coin has a large volume a decent circulating supply. For meme coins, for me, I really want like a 1 billion supply. I'm not big on the ones like SHIB, or the ones that have the trillion supplies, or the hundreds of billions of supplies. Turbo has a large supply, um, about 69 billion, I believe, or 70 billion off the top of my head. But I'm going to go here and I'm going to look and I'm going to see the volume. How much volume? So this one's got almost 3 million in volume, right? And I'm going to compare that to its market cap and circulating supply, right? So and so that's what I do for all of these, right? And so I can go in here and put, say, Bitcoin, and let's look at this. So wow, it's up as we talked again. This thing just does not want to stop. And so it's got a $31 million market cap, and it's got 7 million in volume with a 1 billion supply. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for most all tokens to be in circulation, and looking for swing trades and good entries on that. I got our team in at an entry limit at 0.2. So you'd already be up. Yeah, I mean, we were up over like 30%. We would be up around 35% maybe right now on that swing trade, just a couple of days. So for our group, these are just a few of the tools I use. Looking at meme coins, and I'm going to be looking at a few various meme coins for swing trades. Not that I am stepping away from our amazing cryptocurrencies like Ondo, Sui, right? It's just that we need, I like to get in the habit of taking profit. And I'm going to end this video today with just saying this is one of the things that killed me, and I say even with Bitcoin, was I didn't even want to sell any of my Bitcoin at the top. There was a few times where, I held on. And, I think everybody in crypto can share and rejoice, not in a good way, but, in that memory of, dang, I should have sold it at that time, right? I know Tyler really stresses this with a lot of people is, taking profits. And that's one thing I wanted to talk about today. And each and every person can do this in your own way. For me, I have a spreadsheet, and I have that on my phone, which I don't keep any of my personal information, my crypto on my phone. Reason being is, especially being here in Brazil, but anywhere in the world, you can lose your phone and someone can hack into that. But there is ways, to absolutely, change all of your account information and be safe if that does occur. But, if it's possible, you try to, have as much security as possible. Remember, not your keys, not your crypto. If you can, try to get a Tangent wallet, or, I recommend Tangent. It's just, I like Tangent, but, a cold storage wallet. And so I also want to talk about, before I left, like I said, is profit taking. So you can also get, a cold storage wallet, and put your crypto off of your phone and make sure it's safe. But when I'm talking about profit taking is getting in the habit of taking profits. And that's one thing I wanted our group to start doing. Like I said, I'm not moving, our group. We have excellent minds here. I'm not swaying anyone in any one direction. And neither is Tyler. When Tyler's like, hey, I'm taking profits here. I feel like even for me, I got to remind myself, I got to consistently take profits. And so that's something that I want to keep getting in the habit of. For meme coins, I learned very early on. Okay. I remember, oh man, I was so up on SHIB, and I woke up the next day, and you don't even want to know how much I had lost from that night when I went to bed thinking, oh man, I mean, I'm rich off of SHIB. And I woke up the next morning, and it was like, boom, it was literally more like 50% of what I had made wiped out. And so it's so important to take profits. And you can do that. Some people like old fashioned, have a piece of paper that you like to keep. If you don't like to keep some of your information online, you can use spreadsheets online. But, be prepared to take profits when it's time. I am going to be going into some charting later. This video wasn't for charting, but when I was doing some charting recently, I told the group, try not to FOMO buy in on some of the projects. And remember, I don't control the market. No one here can predict the market to any certain degree. But I said, hey, wait on, FOMO buying Caspa. We saw a crazy dip to 0.78, but that got eaten up quick. But there's an apex reaching it's range bound on Caspa, kind of going into the end of May. And, it kind of ties in. After today, we're going to get a little piece to the puzzle towards our journey here. Every cycle is different. I have no reason to believe this isn't a right translated cycle yet, right? So, I mean, if you look at overall, Bitcoin is up exponentially, right? And so we have definitely had some, wrenches thrown in. We've had tariffs. We've had the word uncertainty itself has really impacted the markets more than the word tariffs. It's just uncertainty. Investors don't like uncertainty. And so as we go on, we're going to keep looking at, I'm going to do live updates with the Fed meeting today. So for our group, I'm going to be posting, kind of my thoughts. Love to hear your guys' thoughts on the situation today. If you guys picked up anything, I love to hear from you guys. Yeah, I am going to keep searching for you guys, keep looking for swing trades. Leverage in a very volatile market is great, right? Right. It's very dangerous, but I will do my best with leverage as well for you guys to post as much leverage trades on there as I can. Like I said, not every leverage trade, especially in a volatile market as today, is going to be perfect, but we have done very well for the most part. I mean, if you're hitting 8 out of 10 on trades, I call that good any day of the week. Especially for leverage, if you're hitting 8 out of 10 of your trades, pretty good. I wanted to bring this up real quick before we left. Okay, so here we go. So this was a big driver, I felt, last night of kind of what happened. Like, we just saw the market, boom, take off. And so yesterday, oh my God, I'm not going to say, no, I don't have New York Times. Okay. Let me see if one that I do. Am I in? Okay, I was seeing if one of these articles I'm already subscribed to. Let me see. Okay. So U.S. and China to start talks over trade war this week. So this was a big driver, and this was 11 hours ago. And then you started to see news posted about this, and immediately the market reacted. So U.S. and China, Chinese officials are set to start talks this week to try to de-escalate a trade war between the world's two biggest economies. Chinese Vice Premier, He Lifeng, will attend the talks in Switzerland from May 9th to 12th. China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs says. So U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, I love Scott Bessent. Gotta love Scott Bessent. Very intelligent guy. I'm really glad he's really at the helm here. And U.S. Trade Representative Greer will represent Washington at the meeting. Their office is announced. Since returning to the White House, President Donald Trump has imposed new import taxes on Chinese goods. We know that, right? We know the 145%. Beijing hit back with 125%. But global trade experts have told BBC that they expect negotiations to take several months. And so that was kind of what I was getting at earlier when I talked about Powell coming out today, right? It would maybe be a dovish stance if he came out and says, hey, near-term inflation we expect to be up. Future projections are more anchored. But then again, I feel like in July, we're going to have a lot of people screaming like, hey, we need rate cuts, right? We need them, some of those big guys that we need rate cuts. We need rate cuts. And if the Fed does not react, they are not going to have data for 3 full months of inflation until August. So they don't have another meeting until September. So let's just hope the Fed, reacts in the manner that we hope that is best for us. And it's hard to say, right? But they'll have unemployment data coming in, which could be bad. That would be coming up here in June, possibly leading to that heavily weighted on poly market cut in July. So it just goes on to say, if the United States wants to resolve the issue through negotiations, it must face up to the serious negative impact of unilateral tariff measures on itself and the world. Chinese state media reported that Beijing had decided to engage with the U.S. after fully considering global expectations, the country's interests, and appeals from American businesses. And so the trade war has triggered turmoil in financial markets and shockwaves across the global trade. And so this was a big deal when news hit that the U.S. and China were going to be talking. It was absolutely great, right? We saw the markets rally, and so today I am just going to go ahead and close out for today. I just want to say thank you guys. And have a great day. If any of you guys have any questions or anything like that, please ask me. Don't hesitate to ask me. I'm going to be talking about the Trojan bot here soon, and how you can use that, and how it helps with trading meme coins. If you are interested in that, it's totally free, but also that you can do these swing trades on tier 1 exchanges, right? So I'm going to be looking into more swing trades. We're going to be analyzing the market together, and I look forward to talking to all of you guys soon. Thank you guys for the support. I mean, I've had great support from everybody. It's been amazing. I'm not here necessarily for. I like to be here. I like the community. For many years, I did cryptocurrency with me and a couple friends, and that's it. I love the community aspect. I love to hear different thoughts and opinions. One thing I can say is that, we're going to get in, start doing the best we can with these swing trades, taking profits, and making the best out of these markets. And with that, guys, I am out. We're going to keep killing this. We're going to keep doing these, getting in the habit of taking profits. So later on, you're going to be in the habit of taking those profits. And hopefully we're going to have an amazing year this year. So I will chime back in when the Fed has its meeting. And to everybody, have a great day. All right.